his first administration, his administration was a revolving door. The thing that's so crazy is we've been telling people, I don't understand how my fellow Americans voted for Donald Trump. And I don't understand those who are shocked right now and have leopards eating their faces. We told them that this was going to happen. Trump told them that this was going to happen. So, I mean, it's not surprising when an ally of Putin's allies with Putin. I mean, it's disappointing and disheartening. And as an American and as a pro democracy person, it makes me sick. But it's not surprising.
Take a look at his body language. Look at the body language that he was with Macron in the Oval Office. Rubio has stood with the West, and Rubio has stood with the liberal democracies. I don't think he loves the Secretary of State that we're voting with North Korea, Russia, and China on certain issues, and we're basically lying about who started the war in who started the Ukrainian war. And so for me, I think he's going to break.
Look, I think that Susie Wiles, who is Trump's chief of staff right now, I think that most of his cabinet appointments, including Marco Rubio, are realizing what they should have realized before they took the job in the first place. And that is that there is no wrangling Donald Trump. There is no wrangling Elon Musk. And right now, make no confusion about it, Elon Musk is running my country. It's not Donald Trump. It is Elon Musk doing so. So, I mean, in his first administration, his administration was a revolving door. I mean, people were terming out of their or leaving their positions in the cabinet early on. And so, I mean, Rex Tillerson, I think, was like within the first year. So, I mean, with that knowledge, like I said, none of this is just same song, second verse. We knew this was coming.
Well, I actually just call myself a humble tech support here because this is actually, as crazy as it sounds, that is almost a literal description of the work that the Doge team is doing, is helping fix the government computer systems. Many of these systems are extremely old. They don't communicate. There are a lot of mistakes in the systems. The software doesn't work. So we are actually tech support. It's ironic, but it's true.
The thing is like Musk shouldn't be there. And Musk, I mean, people forget this. He's apartheid South African. He's not a pro-democracy American. And so the fact, I mean, I think, what I look at is like, you have this egomaniac who is the president of the United States, right? And he has the thinnest skin of anyone on earth. You can tell by his hand right now that he has very thin skin, by the way. And he's going to let Elon Musk and his toddler son, disrespect him. What in the world does Elon Musk have on Trump other than the fact that he bought his seat and kept him out of prison? So, I mean, it's crazy to watch what's happening because it doesn't fit within the narrative of a narcissist that we know Trump is, when he's allowing for Elon Musk to just trample all over everything and to tell everyone what to do, including Trump. I mean, he's showing up in the Oval and holding press conferences. I mean, it's crazy. So no, I'm not surprised he's there, but it's very disturbing. So the people who voted for this man just truly believed his BS. And that's kind of amazing to me that, like, how did you fall for it twice? So there are a lot of people right now, when I'm saying the leopards are eating faces, I'm meaning it. Like, there are a lot of people right now who are going, wait a minute, I sided with him because I agreed with his stance on the border. I didn't side with him because I wanted him to gut our government. I didn't side with him because I wanted, him to decide to level Palestine and build it as his own little Mecca over on the Mediterranean. Like, there are a lot of people in America that I think right now are partying with their vote. As far as the party, I think there are so many people that are in the Republican Party who are so scared of losing their seats. And it's always been my philosophy that if holding the office means more than doing the job that the office asks you to do, then you shouldn't have that job. And there are so many of them who are so afraid of Elon Musk running someone against them in primaries, when they're back up for re-election, that they're doing the wrong thing and they're making themselves completely irrelevant. I mean, one of the things that's been frustrating as someone who is a scholar of, political science is understanding that all three branches of our government have equal powers. That is the checks and balances that, our forefathers put in place. So the fact that Congress and members of his party are handing over their power to the executive branch is terrifying and is also bewildering. Why would you give this man your power? I think that if they would bond together and stand up against the tyranny that we're seeing coming out of the executive branch right now, I don't think they'd have any problems winning re-election, because the people at home see what's happening too, and it's affecting them. And it will continue to. In the short term, I think that honestly, Trump and these isolationists are going to win. Right now, too many people are afraid to stand up to them. Even Mitch McConnell, even Susan Collins, like the people who have said, oh, I'm going to say, I'm voting against this person's, confirmation. What you're actually seeing is they know that their numbers are there for them to be confirmed anyway, and they would not have opposed it if the numbers weren't there. So it's a political game. I mean, these people, they may not be really happy, but they're terrified of the far right wing of their party. And they don't need to be right now, because like I said, the far right wing is still getting their faces eaten off too. So I mean, it's frustrating to watch it. Yeah, but I mean, again, people sit back and they say, well, this was a failure in the UN, or that this was a failure of negotiation. They confirm these people. I mean, you can't say that on the floor when the confirmation's up. Like, you know who these people are, and you're voting for them anyway. You are not holding up to your end of the oath that you took before the American people to protect and defend the Constitution in America against, enemies foreign and domestic. And so, I mean, we're in a constitutional crisis in the United States right now, because we have 3 constitutional branches, and the other 2 are all deferring to the executive. You're going to see lawsuits. You're not going to see anything make it more difficult. I mean, it's the same problem that we had, right? Like, Trump should never be president of the United States right now if the justice system had been able to move with any sort of speed. And they had backlogs and stuff coming out of COVID, and I understand that. But I mean, the wheels of justice turn very slowly, and there's not time for things to move slowly. And so if people are putting their hope in lawsuits to prevent this from happening, that hope is misfounded, because it takes years for these to get through our court systems, and there are appeals, and there's all sorts of stuff. I mean, these things that he's doing now, the reason they're doing them, and the reason they're doing them at the beginning of the term, is because they know that it will take more than 4 years for this to get through, and he's going to be able to do whatever he wants as he's doing it right now without legal consequence, because it takes so long for our courts to catch up. He's a dictator. He doesn't care what people think. And honestly, I mean, everything that you're seeing, this Doge thing, all of this is part of Project 2025 that the American people said loudly they did not approve of. I think like 96% of Americans did not approve of Project 2025. It's why Trump distanced himself from it during the election. But that's exactly what this is. He doesn't care. He's in office right now. It's what Lincoln Project has been preaching and screaming from the rafters since 2020. If he ever came back, he's not going to leave. A dictator doesn't care what his people think. A dictator doesn't care what anyone under him thinks. And that's where we are right now. America is being run by a dictator. When a star is burning out, it burns brighter and it burns hotter because it's burning up all of the energy that's left in the star. Okay. That seems to be what's happening to the Republican Party. It seems to be burning very hot, very fast. But who knows? I mean, the thing is yes, Trump could die. There is no one who can control his cult like he can. So if Trump goes, there will be a huge vacuum to fill. But there's a lot of power hungry people who want to jump into that vacuum. So, I mean, who knows? I mean, I don't know. I don't know if he's setting up a succession plan. I mean, I can't see any of his dumb kids taking that role. But I mean, there you've got Donald Trump, and he's not a super bright man either, and he's running it. So who knows? Who knows? And history will tell you that's when things get a little dangerous, is when that vacuum is there and they're trying to, fill it. And I mean, the establishment Republicans lost their party a long time ago. They lost it with the Tea Party. They gave the Tea Party credibility, and they lost their party to it, to these radicalized, crazy people. Can the establishment take it back? I don't see it, because I also don't see the courage in the establishment to take it back. So, I mean, who knows? I think we are in uncharted territory, and uncharted territory is uncharted for a reason. We have never been here before, at least not in America. So it's gonna be something we just have to watch and respond to as it's happening. Unfortunately, oh, there's so many things I would tell the Democratic Party right now. I mean, the number one thing is they lost blue collar America. Okay, and they lost blue collar America because at some point the Democrats became the super educated ivory tower kind of people, and you have to understand that the majority of America is pretty simple, right? They're not spending the time, they're not spending 12 to 18 hours a day, reading the news and responding to the news and absorbing all of this craziness. They're getting bits and pieces, and they're not as focused on this as everyone else is. And one of the things that the Republican Party did that they're excellent at, I used to do this when I was a Republican consultant, right, is that they'll bait the Democrats into something knowing that they have this huge umbrella party and there's often infighting inside that party. So, like, for example, this election cycle, America was worried about the price of groceries and the fact that they could not afford their rent and the fact that they were having to make decisions between paying their electric bill or paying their rent or paying for groceries or paying for medication. Like they're hurting on, while American economy was strong, it wasn't necessarily trickling all the way down to, the middle class and lower middle class. And and they don't understand the nuances of all of this that's happening. And some of them did. They voted for Trump, but they weren't super MAGA. And the Democratic Party has had a problem with putting anyone who voted for Donald Trump as a super MAGA, radicalist. And they're not. Not all of them are. Some of them just didn't know. They just didn't know what they didn't know. They didn't have time to think about it. So if I'm the Democratic Party, the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stop shaming people who do have the leopards eating their faces right now. These are people who are hurting. They were hoodwinked. These are victims, just like the rest of the country. These are victims. And instead of shaming them and instead of pushing them away, we need to be listening to them. And we need to say, okay, I'm sorry this happened to you. This is awful. But that vote that got us into this mess, here's a shovel, help dig us out, and talk to them and listen to what their real concerns are. And instead of addressing those concerns with annoyance and aggravation, they need to address those concerns where they are. I mean, the Republican Party, going back to what I said earlier, they baited them in this election cycle. They said, okay, we're going to bait you on trans issues. Okay. That is less than 1% of the American population is trans. Okay. And the Democrats are doing what the Democrats do. They're like, no, we have to come in. We have to protect these people. They are humans. Like, they deserve protection. But what it looks like to average Americans is, well, their priority is 1% of the population. The rest of us can't afford eggs. Like, they're so out of touch. And they're not. They're just having a messaging problem because they're trying to protect all. When Republicans fight in a campaign, Republicans are interested in winning the campaign first. Okay? Democrats want the moral high ground. The moral high ground doesn't exist anymore. The people of America have spoken. We don't care about the moral high ground. So win first and then worry about public policy. Win first and then global warming. Win first, then the trans community. Win first, then civil rights. Win first, then gun control. Don't put those things in the campaign where you can get baited away from them. Win first. Do what it takes to win. And once you have office, you have the ability to make that change. Right now, none of that change will happen because the Democrats do not hold office. They have to prioritize winning. And in order to prioritize winning, you have to prioritize listening to a blue collar workforce that you lost because they felt isolated away from your messaging. So that is what I think right now. Sorry, that's a long answer, but that's what I think right now. All politics is local. Right? So you start with people like me and people, average Americans, average humans, and you talk to your neighbors, right? And it starts small. It can't start, again, Gavin Newsom, while he's great, he is also, considered a pretty significant member of the Democratic Party and a pretty big talking head. That does not bring it down. The people who are listening to that are already with him, so it starts at the grassroots. It starts with talking to people. It starts with spreading messages that are that are going to land because you're talking to them and not talking at them. You've listened enough to understand what their concerns are. So you know how to speak to them in a way that addresses those concerns and pulls them back to their own self interest, which also happens to be the best interest of this country.